And to kick off the 2 minute drill, we're going to start with some quarterbacks. First up, Utah quarterback Cam Rising says he will return to the team in 2024. That's a that's good to know that he'll be coming back in 2024. Um, Look, that'll be his seventh eligibility that he will get coming back to play for Utah, having not played at all this season. He hasn't stepped on the field now one time for the Utah Ute. So it's nice that the NCAA is giving him one more year. I'm gonna get into the NCAA a little bit later in the 2 minute drill because I'm about to go off on them. And I hate to say it, but I'm about to go off on them. Next up, and this is some devastating news that I had to go about because being living in the state of Florida, being a part of the whole rivalry of states of Florida. This one is devastating. FSU quarterback Jordan Travis says college career is over after injury. He suffered a and I, he suffered a devastating injury against Northern Alabama up in Tallahassee this past weekend. Very devastating. Um, Something that you do not want to see happen when it comes to any player. Don't matter if you matter if it's a rivalry or not. You just don't want to see that type of injury happen. And unfortunately, it happened to him. And thoughts and prayers go out to Jordan Travis, man. He was playing good ball. He was on the road. He was doing his thing, and it just sucks that he won't be able to complete his season as he expected to at Florida State, and it's over just like that. It is very devastating. Prayers go out to you for a full recovery and to see if next year you'll be able to go into the draft and play in the NFL. So thoughts and prayers go out to you, sir, for a speedy recovery. Nice career at Florida State University. Hopefully, bigger and better things come for you after this devastating injury that took place. All right, moving on. I'm gonna talk about this game later. 'Cause there's no secret of what game everybody's gonna be paying attention to this weekend, most likely. But for the first time in 5 years, the first time in 5 years, the Michigan Wolverines are favored over the Ohio State Buckeyes. That says a lot to know that Jim Harbaugh's not going to be on the sideline for Michigan because he accepted his Big Ten penalty to be suspended for the last 3 games of the regular season, knowing this game was coming up. And there's a massive game. But I'm going to dive to this one a little bit more later on. But just know, but just to know that Michigan is favored over Ohio State. That says a lot. Now, this was 2 days ago, and the lines can move differently right now. So before I move on, I'm gonna go ahead and go back and look at it and to make sure that this is exactly what is going on. I can give you the bet line right now. Yep, Michigan is favored by 3 points at home. According to ESPN Bet, Michigan is favored. So we're gonna keep that in mind. Put a put a comma in that one because we're gonna come back to that one later on in the show. But just want to get that in. Now, before I end this 2 minute drill, I got one thing to get off my chest. I got a couple of things to get off my chest. Here's the first one I need to get off my chest. So this one here, James Madison won't sue NCAA to receive bowl eligibility. Now, before I go in, let me give you the article here. It says James Madison will no longer pursue legal action against the NCAA for bowl eligibility. The school said in a statement Tuesday night. Last week, the NCAA denied James Madison's request for a postseason waiver to be able to play in the bowl game this season. Because the Dukes are in a second year of a transition from the FCS to the FBS, they are not eligible for the postseason. Now, why is they dropping the suit? Last week, the NCAA denied James Madison a request for a postseason waiver to be able to play in a bowl game because the Dukes. Oh, I already read that. But following a 10-0 start and the denial of the waiver, Virginia Attorney, Attorney General James Meyer had threatened legal action, saying last week this injustice transcends athletes and should not be allowed to stand. Unfortunately, part of the reason why the lawsuit is being dropped is because this happened. James Madison lost to Appalachian State 26 to 23 on Saturday, ending its perfect season. And in a statement Tuesday, the school said the loss changed the landscape in terms of the nature and timing of our legal options, including diminishing viability of a lawsuit against the NCAA. On Saturday evening following the game, we consulted with Attorney General Myers and his staff, as well as our outside counsel, and the consensus was that filing emergency legal action against the NCAA was not a viable course of action at this point in time. The university focuses now is on getting the football team into a bowl game, and it appears that such a result is still a strong possibility. We could still file action against the NCAA later if needed to receive a bowl invitation. But for the time being, there was a strong consensus that proceeding with legal actions did not make sense. Close quote. Going into last week, James Madison Dukes were 10 and 0. 10 and 0. 10 and 0. And then they are in the Sun Belt, so I can go to their schedule. Now, those of you who ain't main statements of college football, the teams I'm gonna ride off of you probably be like, who cares? But here's the thing: James Madison started the season off beating Bucknell. They went and beat the Virginia Cavaliers. They beat Troy, who is in the Sun Belt Championship, by the way. They beat Utah State from the Mountain West, South Alabama, Georgia Southern, Marshall, Old Dominion, Georgia State, UConn, and then the loss to Appalachian State at home in overtime. This team, this James Madison Duke team, is 10-1 on the season, 6-1 in conference play, and they are now bowl eligible because of a rule that says you can't be bowl eligible for 2 seasons if you transfer from the football college season to the football bowl season. Now, I did a lot of research today. I would look for everything I can find on why this rule is in place. I couldn't find nothing, okay? I couldn't find it. What precedent the NCAA to make this rule back in 2000, in the early 2000s, trying to figure out what is going on here and whatnot. I looked up and down. I couldn't find a damn thing. And it freaking irked my damn nerves because the only thing I could find this is from sportsenthusiast.net. And the only thing they can reference on why this is a possibility is because Marshall is Marshall, which don't make sense in itself. But there's no really rhyme or reason here. Okay? So here's what they said. Here's what the sports enthusiasts wrote about the rule. So it says here, specifically to a FBS program, a school must sponsor a minimum of 16 varsity sports, with at least 6 of those being male or co-ed teams and 8 being female teams. There is also the minimum of 60% of the games scheduled must be against FBS opponents, and 50% of all scheduled games must be at home. On top of that, each school must offer a minimum of 200 scholarships that total at least 4 million each year. The latter required increase up to 210, which was like this year, and 6 million annual starting in 2027, 2028. They said in here, as easy as it is to call these rules terrible, look at the NCAA's point of view for having the requirement. We scour the internet. This is sports enthusiasts here. This is not me. This is sports enthusiasts. I'm reading it from word for word here. Scoured the internet to find a specific reason why this rule came to be, and we ended up in a NCAA old news archives. The first mention of any possible change came in March 2000 when the Division One Football Issues Committee convened for a meeting. In that meeting, the topic of Division One AA, which is now the FCS, and Division One A, which is the FBS right now, migrated and brought up an issue to investigate. It was at a May 2021 meeting of the NCAA Football Study Oversight Committee that required originated. It included a minimum attendance requirement now removed, a minimum number of scholarships. Well, we just talked about minimum of sports, the 16 varsity sports that we're talking about here. Still nothing, right? You still haven't heard any reason or why that this rule even exists, correct? Correct? Okay. Now, as I keep going, scrolling through, he's, they talk about, let's bring up some history of what it might have been. Well, it's not clear if any specific scenario led to increased discussion within the NCAA. Some theories believe it was due to Marshall's transition from 1AA to 1A. The Thundering Herd won the 1996 1AA national championship, then went 10-6 in 1997 when they made the official move to Division 1A. So they went 10-3 that year with their bowl appearance, followed by a 12-1 record in 1998. The theory goes that Marshall or any other SVS teams at the time could have recruited a bunch of FBS players to join the team via transfer and stack the roster. At the time, transfer to FBS to FCS did not require the player to sit out the season, while SBS to FBS transfer would have a mandatory player miss one season. This is around the time Randy Moss went. This is the time Randy Moss was in college. This is around the time Randy Moss was in college, and if you know Randy Moss, you know he played for Marshall, and it was in that years of Marshall having a dominant team. But you haven't heard anything of note to says this rule makes any damn sense. Correct? All right. Just just sitting here. So now we're gonna keep going. It says second. So that's the first thing that they came up. Here's the second thing that they tried to do. The NCAA wanted to discourage switching from FBS and FCS. If a team expected to be really good for a year, the NCAA wants to make sure they don't switch divisions simply to make a bowl game and then drop back down to the FCS. Okay. On the flip side, the NCAA doesn't want a school that has a really good squad to fall to the FCS to clean up its to clean up in the FCS playoffs. That kind of movement would be unfair given the difference in scholarships allowed, 85 for the SBS and 63 for the FCS. There's always possibility that a school could reach the FCS playoffs with FBS talent from the previous year and still be within the FCS scholarship limits. Don't think that ever happened though. And finally, the third part of this. The 2-year part of the requirement is done to protect both the NCAA and the school. The NCAA wants to give schools a chance to ramp up their resources to meet the requirement, but doesn't want that process to take too long. The 2-year timeline makes sense for a school that is already a Division One member, which means they shouldn't need as much time to meet the requirements compared to teams outside of Division One. However, not every school will meet all requirements before making transition, which is why a transition period is provided. It took to the third point to get a reasonable explanation of why this is the way it is. So if you're saying you want to protect yourself and the school at the same time because how much it costs to be a Division One school, we got you. But at the same time, whoever expected James Madison to do what they did in 2 years, coming from an SCS school to be an FBS school. This team was 10-0. They not even ranked when they should be ranked. They weren't even in consideration for the Sun Belt. And the Sun Belt came out and said, we'll let them play for the championship, but it's not in our hands. It's in the NCAA hands. And I'm finna tell y'all the standards in the Sun Belt right now, which is why most people are pissed off at the NCAA, and the NCAA keep taking shots left and right because they don't know how to get their shit together. I'm looking at this, right? So the Sun Belt has two divisions. You have the East and you have the West. In the West, Troy is in. Troy has won the West. 9-2 overall, 6-1 in conference play. The next team behind them is South Alabama with 4-3, Arkansas State 4-3. We in the final week of the season. Obviously, them two ain't catching Troy, so Troy is in. But on the East side, James Madison is 6-1 with a loss to Appalachian State, who is 5-2 in conference play, and Coastal Carolina is 5-2 in conference play. But James Madison can't even play for the conference championship because of the NCAA. Not the Sun Belt. Ain't the Sun Belt fault. It's the NCAA. So you allow a school to switch from the FCS to the FBS, and then when they perform the way they, because I gave you the schedule. All the teams that I told you that they beat and played, it's all FBS schools. All FBS, probably except for UConn, but most of them FBS. I mean, I can tell you, Bucknell might be a FCS school. Virginia, ACC. They beat an ACC school. They beat a Power Five school. They beat Troy, who is in the Sun Belt Championship. They beat Utah State, a Mountain West team. South Alabama, conference game. Georgia Southern, conference game. Marshall, conference game. Old Dominion, conference game. Georgia State, conference game. UConn. What more do you want for them to do? We don't want to set precedents. Precedents of what? We don't even know why the rule actually exists to begin with. And you dumbasses want to sit here and try to use power any way you can because you messed around and you made the NIL deal happen, and all of a sudden that has taken off. And then you decide to let the transport portal be a thing, and that has taken off. And now all of a sudden you losing power left and right. Now you want to show what little power that you got left, and you want to keep a team like James Madison, who is beating everybody's ass until they got the Appalachian State. You want to keep them out of the bowl game. A 10-win team not making the bowl game when it only requires you to win 6 to be eligible. 6. Literally 6. And if I remember correct, I think I read something. I'm gonna see if I can find it. That says there's like 2017 that's not bowl eligible. 27. And the NCAA, they need 82 teams to be eligible for a bowl season to take its place. There are 27 teams that have 5 wins. And they will be able to get in over James Madison, who already has 10. Let that freaking sink in. 27 FBS schools have 5 wins, and you need 6 to make it happen. All 27 of them can get in a bowl game before James Madison, who has 10 wins on the season, because of a dumbass rule the NCAA put in place. You can't make this dumb shit up. You just can't. It doesn't make any sense to me. If it makes sense to you out there, let me know, okay? Because I really want to know if this makes sense. Because it don't make no damn sense to me. Because this don't make. What are we doing here? Seriously, what are we doing? Let the dudes bowl, man. Hell, one of the 2017 that don't have 6 wins is my Florida Gators. And I'm telling you this right now. James Madison deserved the bowl more than we do. I don't give a damn. Now we go out and do what we do Saturday and we'll be in a bowl game. Quite frankly, I'm on the verge of saying I don't even want us in a bowl game. All right? I'd rather for James Madison to be in the bowl game before Florida. Like, matter of fact, since I'm going on this damn rant, I might as well keep it going. Let me see here. I'm gonna go to the all Power 5 conferences and see who all got 5 wins. and they're gonna be able to get into a bowl game before James Madison. This is how ridiculous it is. Let's see here. Let's go to the ACC, right? The ACC. Virginia Tech is 5-6. Syracuse is 5-6, and they just fired their damn coach. Like they really just Syracuse just really just fired their coach, and then if they can win their last game this weekend, they can be bowling before James Madison. That's two ACC teams that can still be bowling before James Madison because they can just win their sixth game. Let's go to the Big 12. Let's see what the Big 12 got. Let's see here. I'm looking at the Big 12. TCU, the runner up in the national championship last year, they are 5-6 right now. BYU 5-6 right now. UCF 5-6. That's three Big 12 teams that can be bowling before James Madison because they won 6 games, which they need to win this weekend. Let's go to the Big 10. Let's go to the Big 10. Let's see here. The Big 10. Uh, Illinois is 5-6. Minnesota 5-6. Nebraska 5-6. That's three teams right there. We already up to seven. We already up to 7 teams, and only did 3 conferences right now. Let's go to the Pac-12. Let's see what the Pac-12 looking like. Cal, Washington State. Add 2 more, so that's 9 right there. And then let's go to the SEC. I'm just doing the Power 5 just to show you how ridiculous this is. Florida, I told you about my Gators. South Carolina, Mississippi State. 12 Power 5 schools have 5 wins on the year. And all 12 of them can get into a bowl game before James Madison because they end up winning a 6th game on the last damn week of the regular season. This don't make no damn sense. The NCAA, y'all need to do something about this damn rule. Make it more clear. Make it a reason, a legit reason why they need to have 2 years of not being able to be bowl eligibility. And the fact that the winner of a goddamn Appalachian State and Coastal Carolina can go to a freaking conference championship game because James Madison is non-eligible, and they are 6-1 in conference. 6-1 in conference play. Please explain this to me. Matter of fact, explain it to the world because the whole world don't even know. Everything Pat McAfee said when they was at James Madison Friday on his Pat McAfee show, I agree 1,000,000% with. Because freaking idiots is making these decisions and making these rules. Idiots. Don't make sense. That's y'all 2 minute drill.